Welcome to Sit Around the Fire, the podcast dedicated to the men and women on the front lines, first responders, military personnel, and their families. I'm your host, Ashley Dillard, and together we'll explore the challenges, the triumphs, and the real stories behind the uniform. In each episode, we'll talk about mental health, wellness, and the unique culture that comes along with serving in a high-stress environment. From building strong relationships to navigating the weight of the job, this is a space where we can be real, share experiences, and support one another. Whether you're on the front lines yourself or you're supporting someone who is, this is a podcast to remind you that you are not alone. So grab a seat, pull up to the fire, and let's get into it. Hello, everyone, my friends. Welcome to the Sit Around the Fire podcast. I'm joined with my co-host, Winston Dillard, aka Tiny, 150-pound Newfoundland full emotional support animal is in the room with us today. And I want to jump on here and give you a little mini glimpse into understanding the why behind the podcast and getting in a little bit of an idea about what's to expect, what's to come in the future. And this podcast has been such a work in progress and something that's been on my heart for a very long time that I am truly so honored and baffled and excited for being able to be sitting here recording for you today and bringing this out into the world. The Sit Around the Fire podcast, when I think about how this all came to be, there's a very famous Ram Dass meditation that talks about how we all have this ember inside of us, and it's our job to really fan the ember, to build the flames, to continue that burn to happen. And at the very end of the meditation, he speaks a line where he says, one day we'll realize that all we're ever going to do is just continue to sit around the fire. And that really brought into fruition and form for me this idea of what does this mean from a sense of community to be sitting around the fire? And I want you to think about the last time that you had the opportunity to sit around the fire with anybody, rather be it family, friends, strangers, and really take you back into what that moment was like, where there's a group of people sitting around, and I think everyone would agree it's very hard not to focus fully on the fire and what I call like the dance of the fire when you look at the flames. It brings everybody into such a conscious state of presence and awareness that it doesn't matter what else is happening in the world or outside of this time of community, but it's really about being fully vested and open with those who are sitting around that spot with you. And when we think about what this looks like when people gather around the fire, it's often a place where people are sharing stories or lessons or metaphors. And this has been going on culturally for thousands of years. If we think about this, is sitting around the fire is where discussions happened. It's where arguments happened. It's where the older generation mentored younger generations. And this is really what has come to be in my heart as the driving force of what this podcast is meant to be. It's a spot for us to all have a spot for one. It's a spot to show up in full transparency, full vulnerability. And it's a place to be able to share things, to talk about what's been going on in our lives, in our work settings and personal life, and how the two coexist together. It's a place to hear others' stories, their journeys, lessons that they've learned, and things that they want to pass on. And really, it's just a unique form of healing that happens through the sense of community. So I'm so excited to invite you in for what's to come. What you can look forward to is weekly content episodes centered around education, wellness, connection. We're going to have some great interviews with people all across the board. Like the topics will be by no short, boring, but very fascinating. And it's really just going to be this really cool time to connect and engage within community. So your call to action today is to make sure that you get subscribed and look out for the first episode that's actually launching next Monday. So you'll be able to find it on all the podcast platforms, but I want to make sure that you get subscribed and you kind of know what's about to hit you as it hits you. And feel free to share the podcast, do whatever you need to do, but make sure that you have a seat. Make sure that you have a spot. And I so look forward to connecting with you in the future, to bringing you a bit of my passion around the education side and just sharing and connecting with you. So don't hesitate to get signed up. Make sure you save your seat, and I look forward to seeing you around the fire. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Sit Around the Fire. We're excited to keep the conversation and connection going. I invite you to check out our website, link in the description below. Also, don't wait to get signed up for the upcoming workshop, Strengthening Bonds, working on efficient communication between first responders and their partners. You can sign up for this via the website or the link in the description in the notes. We look forward to sitting around the fire again with you very soon.